Samantha walked out of the hospital, her footsteps slow and heavy. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the city, but she barely noticed. Her mind was too clouded with shock and disbelief. She had just been fired. After years of dedication, long night shifts, and endless hours spent caring for patients, she had been let go like she was nothing. Budget cuts, they had said. The hospital needed to downsize, and she was one of the unlucky ones. Nothing personal. The words rang in her head, making her stomach churn. It was personal to her. Nursing wasn't just a job, it was her entire life. She had spent years studying, working, sacrificing her time, all because she wanted to help people. And now, just like that, she was being told she wasn't needed anymore. She gripped her bag tightly as she walked aimlessly through the streets. She had nowhere to go, no plan for what to do next. She wasn't just losing a paycheck, she was losing a piece of herself. The smell of freshly brewed coffee drifted from a nearby cafe, but even that wasn't enough to lift her spirits. She considered stopping in, just for a moment, just to clear her head, but then she heard it, shouting. A commotion. She turned her head and saw a small crowd gathering on the sidewalk near the cafe entrance. People were gasping, murmuring in alarm. And then she saw him. A man lay collapsed on the pavement, motionless. His face was pale, his lips turning blue. Her instincts kicked in instantly. She ran toward him, pushing past the bystanders. What happened? She demanded. I don't know, a woman stammered. He just fell. Samantha dropped to her knees. The man's chest barely moved. She pressed 2 fingers to his neck. His pulse was weak, erratic. His breathing was shallow. He was going into cardiac arrest. She didn't hesitate. Someone call an ambulance, she shouted. She tilted his head back to open his airway, checking for any obstructions. Nothing, but his pulse was fading. He needed chest compressions, now. Samantha placed her hands over his chest and started pressing down firmly, counting under her breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. The murmurs of the crowd faded as she focused on the rhythm. She could feel the sweat forming on her forehead, but she didn't stop. Come on, she whispered. Stay with me. A minute passed, then another. Every second felt like an eternity. Then, suddenly, the man's body jerked. A sharp gasp escaped his lips as his eyes fluttered open, dazed and unfocused. Samantha let out a shaky breath. He was alive. The sound of sirens filled the air. The paramedics arrived, pushing through the crowd. One of them knelt beside her, his eyes widening. Samantha, what are you doing here? She looked up and recognized him, Josh, an old colleague. I was just passing by, she said breathlessly. He collapsed. Josh checked the man's vitals, then glanced at her with something close to awe. You saved his life. Samantha sat back on her heels, exhaling slowly. The man, now slightly more aware, turned his head toward her. His gaze was weak, but there was something intense in it. You saved me, he rasped. Samantha nodded. You're going to be okay. They'll take care of you now. The paramedics lifted him onto a stretcher. Just before they rolled him into the ambulance, the man reached out, grabbing her hand weakly. Thank you, he whispered. Then he was gone, whisked away to the hospital. Samantha sat there for a moment, feeling the weight of everything. She had just lost her job. She had no idea what tomorrow would bring. But at that moment, she knew one thing for certain, she had done what she was meant to do. Even if she wasn't officially a nurse anymore, she would always be one at heart. She wiped her hands on her jeans, stood up, and walked away, never expecting that within 24 hours, her entire life would change. Samantha barely had time to process the events of the previous day before she was jolted awake by a loud knock on her apartment door. She blinked, groggy from sleep, and glanced at the clock, 7 a.m. Who could possibly be visiting this early? She pulled on a robe and shuffled to the door, still half asleep. As soon as she opened it, she froze. 4 luxury cars, sleek, polished, and gleaming under the morning sun, were parked right outside her modest apartment building. A black Rolls-Royce, a red Ferrari, a white Lamborghini, and a navy blue Bentley. Her heart pounded. Standing in front of the cars was the man she had saved the night before. Only now, he looked completely different. Dressed in a sharp, perfectly tailored suit, he exuded power and confidence. His eyes, now full of life, locked onto hers with an intensity that made her breath catch. Miss Samantha, he said, his voice smooth but filled with emotion. You saved my life. Now, I'm here to change yours." She stared at him, still trying to process what was happening. I don't understand." The man smiled, stepping closer. "Allow me to introduce myself properly. My name is Jonathan Whitmore. I own several businesses, real estate, technology, and a few luxury car dealerships." He gestured toward the vehicles behind him. "But yesterday, none of that mattered. I was dying on the pavement, and you brought me back." Samantha swallowed hard. "I just did what anyone would have done." Jonathan shook his head. "No, that's where you're wrong. Plenty of people stood around, watching. You were the only one who acted. You gave me another chance at life." His expression softened. "And I'd like to give you one in return." She frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" Jonathan pulled a sleek black envelope from his pocket and handed it to her. Curious but cautious, she opened it. Inside was a job offer. A prestigious position at a state-of-the-art medical center, one that paid nearly triple what she had been making at the hospital. Her breath hitched. This can't be real." "It's very real," Jonathan assured her. "I own part of this medical center. I made a few calls last night. They'd be honored to have you." Samantha's hands trembled as she held the letter. After everything she had been through, the humiliation of losing her job, the uncertainty of what to do next, this felt unreal. Too good to be true. "I don't know what to say," she murmured. "Say yes," Jonathan said simply. "Say yes to a fresh start. A new beginning." She hesitated. Before she could finish, Jonathan gestured toward the cars. "And they're yours to choose from." Her eyes widened. "What?" He chuckled. "You saved my life. I'd like to return the favor. Pick any car, and it's yours. No strings attached." Samantha shook her head, overwhelmed. "I can't accept that. I was just doing my job." Jonathan's smile faded slightly. "And yet, your job didn't appreciate you the way they should have." He took a deep breath. "Look, I know this is a lot. But please, let me do this. I've spent years making money, collecting things. But last night, when I was lying on that pavement, none of it mattered. You mattered. You reminded me that life is about more than wealth. It's about people. And you." He looked at her with deep sincerity. "You deserve this." Samantha felt a lump in her throat. For so long, she had been undervalued, overlooked. And now, here was this man, a stranger only yesterday, showing her the kind of appreciation she had never received before. She looked at the job offer again. A second chance, a new chapter, and then she glanced at the cars. Her lips parted slightly as she stared at the sleek black Rolls-Royce. She had always dreamed of driving something luxurious, but she never thought she'd have the chance. Jonathan noticed her gaze and grinned. "Good choice." He snapped his fingers, and one of his assistants immediately stepped forward with the keys. Samantha hesitated, her fingers brushing over the cold metal of the key fob. "Are you sure about this?" Jonathan nodded. "Absolutely." A deep breath filled her lungs. Then, slowly, she took the keys. A new beginning, a fresh start. Tears welled in her eyes, but this time, they weren't from sadness. She turned to Jonathan, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you." He smiled. "No, thank you, Samantha." As she slid into the driver's seat of the Rolls-Royce, her fingers gripping the steering wheel, she realized something. Yesterday, she had lost everything. But today, she had gained more than she ever imagined.